Transformation is the bridge between pain and purpose. Your struggles are preparation for your next level. This is a passage taken from my book, The 500 Manifesto, Proverbials, the 5-Pillar Edition. Many of my viewers have been wondering, what in the world are these 5 things? Well, the 5 things are the 5 pillars of transformation. That's gratitude, service, generosity, humility, and integrity. The 5 pillars are a framework for mindset and identity transformation. And don't get it twisted, this is not some superficial makeover, man. It's actually deep work. The kind of work that challenges one's current mindset and self-view. The kind of work that causes you to take a deep look at yourself, who you are, and who you really are supposed to be, with the intent of helping the participant evolve and begin showing up as their authentic self, their true self, their best version. And this is regardless of whatever life throws their way. You see, I hit a point in my life where survival and maintaining the status quo, it just wasn't gonna cut it. I needed something that could carry me beyond the pain and the setbacks and affect lasting change in my life. I'm talking about real transformation. Out of this was birthed the 5 pillars. Again, that's gratitude, service, generosity, humility, and integrity. Each one of these are simple enough to practice daily, but powerful enough to reshape your entire mindset and identity. And in this way, they're more than just a framework, they're a lifestyle. The first pillar is gratitude. I'm going to read you an excerpt from my book, The 500 Manifesto, which is basically a series of proverbs that are built specifically around the 5 pillars of transformation. Look what it says. It says, gratitude doesn't change your circumstances. It changes your perspective. You may not be able to shift every situation, but gratitude changes how you see it, which will in turn shift how you experience it. You see, what gratitude is, simply stated, it's the thankfulness, the appreciation, it's the gratefulness that we have in our heart concerning the things in our lives that we really appreciate, that we recognize that are really going well in our lives and adding value to our lives. Gratitude is an on-demand superpower, is what I say. It's the great equalizer when it comes to turning the situation or turning the tides of the tsunamis and the monsoons of our lives, when it comes to turning those things around. You see, have you ever been under the weight of your situation and your circumstances, and it seems like you mull this thing over in your mind, and just like over and over and over and over again, not realizing that the more you focus on it, the more it manifests in your mind and in your emotions. The more it manifests in your mind and your emotions, the more it intensifies and becomes a common place in your conversation. That's the words that we speak. And in our actions, that's the things that make our life what it is. But gratitude looks for the good. It redirects your focus away from what's broken, what's cumbersome, or lacking in your life, and shifts it towards what's good, effective, and adding value to your life. Peep game from Martin Seligman, who is actually a pioneer in the field of positive psychology. This is what he says. He says, when we approach life from the perspective of what's working, without denying the reality of our current situation, we cultivate more positive thinking, thankfulness, and gratefulness in our hearts and in our lives. This will in turn promote greater resilience and lend itself to discovering creative solutions to life's challenges, struggles, and disappointments. In short, gratitude is the game changer, and it is your force multiplier for shifting your mindset and your emotions regardless of what you're going through. The second pillar is service. Check this out. Serving others brings clarity to your own path. The act of helping others clears confusion about your own purpose. And that's also taken from the 500 Manifesto. You see, service is about helping and providing support for others. Service is the selfless act of contributing to the well-being of others without expectation of personal gain or having something in return. But contrary to its definition, service by virtue of its innate characteristics carries along with it its own what I call reciprocal and serendipitous offerings. For the service practitioner, this is what happens. For the person who is actually performing the act of service, and this is not even including the benefits that it brings to the person being served. But studies show that serving others, it reduces stress, it produces a sense of well-being and connectedness, it promotes mental and physical health, and reduces cognitive deterioration, and this is the part that I really like, associated with aging by 15 to 20%. Now I got a question. How many people do you believe can use an extra 15 to 20% of cognitive activity? That's me right there. That's me right there. But all jokes aside, you know, for me, service is just like been, I don't know, for many years, as long as I can remember, probably when I was in my early teens, it's been just like a way of life. I mean, from my early upbringing in the church, and then even as I got older, you know, I took my acts of service outside of the church. I mean, just being hitting the streets and just praying for people, and even into my adulthood, feeding people and just, you know, looking for opportunities to be a blessing to others. I can remember one time being laid off from my job. Man, I was kind of like, I was like feeling some kind of way about that. But you know, on my way home, after packing up all of my stuff and clearing out my workstation and clearing my office out, man, I was on my way home and I'm like, you know what, Rod, what you gonna do now? And I sat there and I thought about it for a minute. I said, you know what, this don't got me, this can't get me, this ain't got that kind of power over me. So what I did was, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go find some people and I'm gonna be a blessing to some other people. And so here's the connection that I made with it. So it was on the 8th of the month, the 8th day of the month when I got laid off. So what I did, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go purchase 8 meals, and I'm gonna find 8 people that are really down in their situation, and I'm gonna feed them, I'm gonna bless them, I'm gonna pray for them, and I'm gonna speak some powerful words and blessings over their lives. So I went and bought the 8 meals, threw them in my car, not really thrown them, but placed them in my car. And I started just driving around, man, looking for people, looking for some situations and opportunities, and just systematically began to find people. Man, I engaged with them, talked to them for a few minutes, prayed with them, blessed them with some, with the meal, and just kept it moving. Until finally I came to, and it was during the cooler time of the year too. And so finally I came to the last 2 individuals. Now I had 2 more meals left, 2 individuals laying on the sidewalk. They just as comfortable as they could possibly be. One brother had a blanket, the other brother didn't. So I went out, got out my car, started talking to him, and I prayed for them, you know, spoke over their lives, and, you know, gave them the meals. And before I left, I said, hey, is there anything else I can do to help you brothers? And the one guy who didn't have a blanket, he said, man, I can show you a blanket. And so I'm thinking in my mind, man, I got a blanket in my car. But it was one of my blankets that was from my deployment to Afghanistan. So I'm like sitting there thinking, I had to do a double take. I had to revisit that situation really quick. But I'm just like, in a matter of seconds, I said, you know what? That blanket is not doing me any good. It's gonna really help this guy right here. So I reached in my trunk, pulled the blanket out, unfolded it, shook it out, gave it to him, man, and just released it and kept it pushing. And so this is what service is all about. Service is all about getting out of your place of comfort, if you're in a place of comfort, or getting out of the funk that you're in if you're in the place of a funk, and seeking an opportunity to bring hope, to bring encouragement, to satisfy the need of another. Because it's too easy to be wrapped up in what you're going through, and you may not even have a solution or anything that you can do about your situation. But there's somebody in your realm or your sphere of influence that you have the solution for them. You don't have your own solution, but you have a solution for them. And by you getting out of your place of comfort or funk and getting into their place of need, fulfilling that need, guess what you do? You open the door and you create the opportunity for that need to be reciprocated that you have into your life. That's what service is all about. So aside from the benefits that I just talked about, serving others also provides a low invasive procedure, and I like this, for individuals suffering from chronic or acute symptoms of Me syndrome. You might be saying, well, what's Me syndrome? Well, it's about those people, and we all know these people. These are the type of people that they don't do nothing for nobody. It's hard pressed to get them to do anything outside of what's going to benefit them directly. Those are the people that I'm talking about. You see, service disrupts the old you and creates a new path forward. It can do it for the person in the comfort zone who's looking for change. It can do it for the person who's going through a difficult time and is looking for change. It can do it for the person who don't ever want to do anything to help anybody else. And just, one more part to these individuals that don't ever like to do anything for anybody else. And what's always interesting to me is that these very people, these same people, not wanting to do nothing for nobody else, but are always in a situation where they need somebody to do something for them and to help them in their situation. Service breaks the cycle. The third pillar is generosity. Generosity proves abundance long before abundance arrives. It declares, I already have enough to share, even in seasons of leanness and scarcity. 500 Manifesto. Simply stated, generosity is the willingness to give freely of one's own resources. It gives freely, whether it's money, time, attention, talents, abilities, whatever. It's all for the benefit of others. Generosity is really service on another level, in that it not only requires the sharing of time and energy, but it also requires you to break bread, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively. I could share numerous instances and stories where I fed families and people, I've gassed up cars, bought groceries, just all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to take a little sidebar here because I think that there is one other relevant aspect of the transformation process that needs to be addressed as it relates to generosity, and that's the scarcity mindset versus the abundant mindset. For many, here's the challenge. A person operating from a scarcity mindset is less likely to be generous, let alone engaged in a framework like the 5 pillars of transformation. Generosity is more than just giving a few dollars to a homeless person because they're doing bad. It's more than just buying groceries for a family of 4 because they have more month than money. It's more than just helping a young couple stranded on the side of the road because they ran out of gas on their way home. It's about how we show up in life during the times when the demand exceeds capacity and the needs outweigh our knowledge and know-how. Because I'm convinced the reason people don't do more to become who they were created to be is because they've accepted the lie that they've already become all that they can and will ever be. It's a lie. It's a deception, a fabrication, concocted and rolled up into a nice little package by the enemy of your purpose and your destiny. Let me show you how the enemy works. If he can't push you or drive you, he'll attempt to stop you or block you. If he can't do either of those, then he'll attempt to lull you into a place of comfort and complacency where whatever you are, whatever you have, and whatever you've done, that's it. Your enemy wants you to believe that your comfort is way more important than your ability to create. He would like nothing more than for you to sit silently on the sidelines of life and remain asleep and slumbering in the shadows while your opportunity to do what you were created to do just passes you on by. The journey towards transformation is not a weekend excursion to your favorite vacation destination. It's more like a multi-country European tour with several stops along the way. Remember, transformation is not a surface or cosmetic makeover. That's not what it is. It's a deep dive renovation with the objective of yielding the best version, the version that moves in faith, not folly, the version that seeks purpose, not popularity, the version that responds to resistance with resolve and resilience, the version that seeks alignment and not acceptance, the version that shows up generous, grateful, and whole. Generosity is powered by an abundant mindset. The 4th pillar is humility. Humility does not think less of itself, it thinks of itself less. It shifts the focus from self-centeredness to other-centeredness. The 500 Manifesto. Humility is a modest and healthy assessment of one's value and importance. It is the quiet strength that accepts one's own limitations and acknowledges the inherent value in others. Humility soberly recognizes and accepts its own imperfections and honors the offerings of other people. In both action and in constructive input. It is not self-depreciation, rather an honest awareness of our place within a larger tapestry. An openness to learning, a willingness to admit mistakes, and a deep respect for the wisdom and the contributions of those around us. As I began to commit to and consider the magnitude of humility and the other four pillars for that matter, I immediately recognized they weren't popular behaviors in this present economy. Popular culture views meekness, and we've all heard this, as weakness. And most would not be willing or ready to take such a bold plunge into a behavior that's so misunderstood. So here's my recommendation. View humility as an opportunity for being less prideful, and in practice, seek to be less judgmental, less confrontational, less argumentative, and less unforgiving. Then begin working on becoming more patient, more loving, more kind, and more understanding. Mindfully considering the ideas, actions, and opinions of others, specifically when they contradict yours. True humility allows us to serve and give without seeking recognition, the need to be right or in control, to listen deeply, and to walk lightly in the world with gratitude and patience. It dissolves barriers of ego, inviting genuine connection and growth, and grounds all other virtues in authenticity and grace. Humility is not weakness, it's refined strength, perfected in the highest order. The fifth and final pillar is integrity. Integrity is the discipline of becoming whole. It refuses to live divided lives. Simply stated, integrity is values, alignment, and wholeness. It is the practice of aligning one's life, that's what we think, say, and do, with our values in our journey towards wholeness. Integrity is the steadfast alignment of one's thoughts, words, actions, and values. A wholeness of character that remains unshaken by circumstances or convenience. It is the inner compass that guides ethical choices, demanding honesty, transparency, and moral courage, even when it's difficult, unseen, and definitely when it's unpopular. I can honestly say this wasn't the level at which I operated as I emerged from years of addiction, homelessness, and incarceration. I would venture to say that there are few people that actually can honestly say that they've been able to attain flawless perfection in performing and perfecting their moral and ethical values. And that's okay. Living a life on a higher spiritual and moral plane is not about flawless perfection. It's about commitment to the process and the journey. In retrospect, I can see how I made it easy to be less committed to a higher moral code at that time. One of my mantras was, a brother gotta do what a brother gotta do. And what I ultimately realized, that wasn't true. It was a lie. You only have to do what you can do. And what you can't do in honesty and integrity, be willing to acknowledge that. Then seek wisdom, guidance, and support to fill the void or the shortfall. It's a sure path that builds character, trust, and a solid reputation. Integrity means being true to oneself and to others, honoring commitments, standing firm for what is right, regardless of the external pressures. It weaves together authenticity and responsibility, becoming the silent force that inspires trust, respect, and in every realm of life. You see, Integrity aligns actions and values. And the end does not justify the means. Now, I know I shared a lot here, but here's my suggestion. Don't try to digest all 5 pillars at once. Take one and work on that one. Work on being grateful. Work on looking for opportunities to serve and to be generous. Work on being more humble, less argumentative, less prideful. And then, or work on being more integral, being more committed to your word and to doing what's right. Before we go, I want to do just 2 more things. One, I want to recommend that you not try to incorporate all 5 pillars at the same time. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step. The journey of transformation begins with what? 1 pillar. So pick one and let that be the focus of your reflection and growth. The second thing I want to do is send you a free copy of my scarcity versus abundant mindset assessment. Did I mention to you that it was free? This assessment is a powerful tool in determining whether your bent is towards a scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset. So click the link in the captions and let the transformation begin. Be blessed on purpose.